Hopefully the dog will cooperate. I can hear her, and I hope it's a good thing I took the
jingles off.
her jingle tags off, because if not, we'd be hearing jingle tags for an hour.
That's all right.
Well,
we hear Sebastian meow, meow.
Yeah, I kind of miss Sebastian.
Yeah.
With all the meowing and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, hello, folks. If you're tuning in, we're just about to begin. As you can see, it's the dynamic duo today, which will definitely be better next week unless I can get a few guests. So, if we're ready to go, then let's hit it in 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready?
Yes.
Then we'll begin.
It's the first week of Lent, and hopefully everyone has donned their sackcloth and ashes. We are here. Join in the fun. It's Monday Morning Catholic, episode number 60.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. Somewhere in the distance, I remember yesterday singing hallelujah, full of wonder, awe, and praise.
Well, I probably would have said something wittier to open up this show, but I caught my dog out of the corner of my eye and started giggling. So that witty and wonderful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, Director of Religious Education at Saints Martha and Mary in Lakeville, Massachusetts. And there is only 2 of us today. The others are off doing whatever they do and they're not here. But we have, of course, with me, Linda Reed, Director of Music and Liturgy at St. Thomas in Providence, Rhode Island, my home parish. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. I was just thinking as I was listening to the 6:30 Monday morning, you really have to make an amendment. The A word is in there. You have to make an amendment for Lent.
Oh, my. You know, we played it all during last Lent and no one said anything.
I know. It just...
And I had something else ready. However, it's not the A word, it's the H word.
Well, they're very similar.
It's the H word. Well, you know what? Then next week we're just going to have to go with...
There you go.
We'll go with the little Francis Patrick O'Brien.
There you go.
Opening next week. Not a problem. But, you know, I did think of that, not thinking of the H word. But we used it all during Lent.
Yeah, well,
During Lent.
I wasn't listening last Lent. I was still too nervous.
Thank you very much for not listening last Lent. I don't think anybody else was either, so what the heck?
I was still too nervous to listen to the bumpers.
Oh, jeez.
Actually, we didn't hear the bumpers last Lent.
Oh, well...
You didn't have it rigged up so we could hear the bumpers.
Okay, so you never heard the fact that I played that all through Lent.
No.
You know, and I'm the liturgist here. I should know better. I actually should know better. You know, what can I tell you?
I tend to be one too, so I spotted it. Boom.
You know, good for you. Well, that's getting thrown out now for the rest of Lent. Sorry about that, folks. Should we start this again actually?
It just jumped out at me after I just...
Yeah, I think it would, yeah.
Explaining 3 times to the congregation why we're not singing our normal gospel acclamation.
I know. Hey, look, you know...
What doesn't kill you makes you...
You know, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
If that is going to be the first time I screw up in liturgy...
I just...
Doubt that.
I thought it was kind of funny myself.
Yeah, I know. But again, played it all last year during Lent. No one said a word.
Except we didn't hear it. That's why.
And that meant you weren't listening to the show afterwards either.
No,
Right.
I knew what I said.
Yep. Uh-huh. I know. Well, anyway, it's that time of year again, folks. It is the season of Lent.
Yes.
You know, and we are in that lovely season. And we had Ash Wednesday, where everybody used their hashtag
Yes.
to show their ashes. And there was a little bit of controversy on all that.
I was going to say there was a little bit of flack, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I could not understand where that was coming from.
Well,
At all.
People were going nuts. I have
People were going nuts. They were in the streets, just,
I have an acquaintance, a friend that I see, once a year at conventions when I go, and he has a real problem with people flaunting their ashes. He said it goes against what the gospel says. You're not supposed to flaunt it when you. I said, well, it's an outward sign that we are sinners.
Right, and I can understand. It's a social media. If those of you who are not familiar with this whole hashtag business, it was something that came about maybe 5 years ago, and it was a way to get people to acknowledge that they knew this was Ash Wednesday, and that they had gone to church and got their ashes, to sort of make a statement. And every year they've wanted to get it trending on Twitter. It was a big thing on Twitter. So I see nothing wrong with this. I think it's an evangelization tool. I don't think people are just standing, doing selfies and saying just because they got it is used as an evangelization tool. But the same thing can be said about this podcast. What are we doing it for? I like to think we're doing it for the new evangelization and to spread God's word and to help people look back at the previous weekend and make some sense of what they're experiencing. But some people could just be saying, I'm tooting my own darn horn.
Nah.
And I could be.
No.
But that's not my intent. Again, so I don't see what the problem was with the hashtag business, and
no, I don't see it either. And I was really, quite frankly, when I started reading this stuff, I was like, what is the problem?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Ashes don't signify that we're wonderful. Ashes signify that we're sinners.
And I have one of those undiscovered. Because I have bangs.
Country there, yes.
You can't find my bangs You can't find my ashes half the time because of my bangs. So I
watched the Pope distribute ashes in Europe. They put ashes here,
so you don't see them.
You don't see them anyway.
Right. There's a reason.
Receive them.
Right. That's why they do it. It's them. You're not supposed to see. You're not supposed to see the ashes. So if you put them here,
he doesn't make a cross. He sprinkles ashes on the top of your head.
Well, that's biblical, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Heaping coals upon your head.
And putting ashes on your head, sackcloth and ashes.
Right.
And that's how they distribute it in Europe, in a lot of Europe.
Exactly. So it's
what doesn't kill you.
Yeah, really.
It's ashes are in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're in your eyes because they put too much on your head. So we are here again, just the two of us, to take a look back at the weekend's liturgies, try to make some sense. And now that we're into the season of Lent, there might be many things we're going to be explaining. But we also look at rituals, we look at church music, technology, evangelization, Catholics in the news, whatever else we feel like. And with two of us, we promise it'll be under an hour today.
Yeah.
So we have one homily between us because we both went to the same church.
Both went to the same church. Yes.
For the next 2 weeks, however, I'm going to be in lovely Lakeville land because I have to be at those masses for the next 2 weeks. So next week I'll have Lakeville at least,
Yes.
and then hopefully when we get back on the third Sunday of Lent with everyone, I hope,
Yes.
we will have the requisite 2, 3, 4 homilies.
And we'll
With-
explain why nobody's going to be here next week except Joanne.
Yeah, we'll be explaining that in a little while, and we're going to be asking for your help because I need to find somebody to do the podcast with me because you all really, really, really don't want me to be. You just don't. You just don't. Okay, because it tends to get off the rails even faster than anything. So. Let us begin. Grab your favorite cup of whatever. I have some nice English breakfast tea, decaf.
Have water.
So I don't, jump out of the frames here. And hopefully we will stay on track. We had no feedback from last week. And I'm beginning to wonder, folks, because we all know you're listening.
Yeah.
We absolutely know that we know we do. Okay, we know we've got friends that are listening. So
Yes.
come on, guys, help us out. Okay, we'd really like your feedback. We would really like some help.
It just helps to personalize the show a little bit,
It helps to personalize, and it also has us to get out of our own agendas.
Yeah.
If you've got something else out there you'd like us to address or you'd like to start the conversation that will get us going, and some people would, then I'm telling you, send it over to mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. It comes straight to the great Monday Morning Catholic mailbox. You can put it up on Facebook. We'll use it, facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic. We have 107 likes. It's nice. Could we get up to 110?
Yeah. Nice round number.
3 more. I'd like to be at 110. Okay. You can leave a comment in our comment box on mondaymorningcatholic.net. Nobody's been using the comment box. Someone's been using the comment box, however, on YouTube, and I really have to take it's one of those spamming things. And
Oh.
I'll never see it because it comes to me and it goes straight in the spam box.
Oh, jeez.
Spam box goes somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay.
Quickly.
Spam box goes far, far away.
Very.
Just disappears. And I don't like to do that, but I'm not interested in some of the spam.
Yeah.
It's nothing derogatory about the show. It's just a spam. It's almost like a spam bot that finds something Catholic and then drops something in it. Like a track. Now,
Okay.
like a Protestant track. Okay,
I get it.
talking about certain things. So please don't do that. We'd appreciate if you didn't do that
Yeah.
because it ain't gonna make it on air anyway. It's not going to make it on air. It's not going to make it on the comments, so don't even think about it. But we'd like legitimate comments, please. Those we'll take on YouTube if you're watching us on our YouTube channel or in our com box at Monday Morning Catholic. Or, of course, you can... Oh, wrong one.
No.
Again.
But here's my number, so call me maybe.
You can call us on the Lovely Voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. 774, that's a Massachusetts exchange, 955-0659. Please, we'll use it. If you want us to use it as an MP3 file, fine. You can also send us MP3 files. If you love to record yourself, and a lot of people do, make an MP3 that we can use on air and send it to mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. We'll take you any way we can get you.
Yeah.
Just, please. We'd like some feedback or stuff to talk about. So, since we don't have any feedback from last week, nobody had any Mardi Gras because we were all, doing the snow dance,
Yeah.
which is really starting to melt here today. Very, very happy with that. But then it's going to plunge it back down into the
Yeah.
numbers again. So
We're gonna have a skating rink by tomorrow.
the skating rink exactly. Again, one more time. But at least we cleared up some more driveways and roofs and all that. So, my husband was very much listening to the gutters to make sure they were all running. 'Cause
Yes.
that's a good thing. The gutters running is a good thing. So we like that. So let us then move right along to
Do you hear what I hear?
our first segment. Do you hear what I hear for the first Sunday of Lent? Now, we all heard the same readings this week, and they were all, and especially the very short gospel,
Yes.
which I really like hearing the big discourse, but we just, of course, it's, the year of Mark, so we got just the facts.
Yes.
And he didn't disappoint. So this week we were in the Cycle B readings. Now, we will tell you what readings we're in as we get to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Sundays, because those of you doing RCIA will be moving over back to the Cycle A readings, because that's not work. We'll explain that later.
Yeah.
But right now we're in Cycle B readings, and our first reading was the lovely Genesis 9, and we had Noah, not the movie version, but Noah and the covenant, where God is going, having him build the ark and is going to establish this covenant, that he, with him. So it's nice to hear the story of Noah. I
really like the B cycle progression. We're not going to do it because we do RCIA, but I really like the B cycle progression of the various covenants in the first reading.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, we're not going to do it.
Well, hey, when you have RCIA, you end up with,
And I love having RCIA. No,
right.
Wrong, I do.
And the thing about the Gospels, however, no matter what year we're in, the first Sunday is always on the
Yeah.
The second Sunday is always on the
Transfiguration. Yeah.
So you just get different accounts of it. But Genesis, I did like hearing the story of Noah. It's good for the kids, because the kids can all get into that ark stuff. So it's kind of cool for them. So it's good that it comes up in our rotation.
They love the ark, yes. Although unfortunately, I keep every year. There's a lecture that says, "And I set my bow in the sky." It's like, it's a bow. It's a rainbow. He's talking about the rainbow.
Oh, now I wish I had that bumper. Why didn't I think of Rainbow Connection today?
Set my bow in the sky, yeah.
I didn't hear it at 10:30, though.
No. At 10:30, guy. Well, it was my husband.
That's your husband. He would never say bow.
He wouldn't know how to pronounce it.
He would.
Yes. It was a different liturgy.
Okay. No. Never mind. We don't want. Never mind. Let's just call it there. All right. The proper psalm for today was Psalm 25. Your ways, O Lord, are love and truth to those who keep your covenant. Very appropriate.
Can't make it any longer.
Really, that was like, how many more words can we have?
I can't hear you.
Yes, really.
Oh, okay.
You there? Oh, you really said you couldn't hear me. That was a problem.
I couldn't hear you for about 3 seconds.
Oh, I don't like it when that happens. I'm so sorry.
Could it be?
Yeah, well, it is that season, However, the seasonal psalms, and a lot of people use seasonal psalms for Lent, the ones that are more commonly used for Lent are 51, 90, and 130. Those are your season.
91.
Oh, 91, I'm sorry. Not 90. 90, I'm an idiot.
90's a different one.
Yeah, let's rewind that again. All right, so it's 51, 91, and 130. I'm sorry, I just typed it wrong. I knew what I was talking about, and I'm reading it straight off my script. So it's like I just typed it wrong. Yeah, because I'm thinking, create in me Be With Me,
Be
Lord,
with me, Lord.
and
Yeah.
Out of the Depths.
Yeah.
So, now you're using what?
I'm using 51 for the
Using
Common
51.
Psalm.
Right.
Again, I like to set the season of Lent apart.
Right.
And it's something that is encouraged. So we use the same entrance litany every week. We use the same responsorial psalm and the gospel acclamation. So the liturgy of the word remains constant
And I
every
think
week of Lent.
I think that's a really, really good thing. I
It
do.
sets the season apart. You
Yep.
know?
We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But I like that feel.
Yeah.
It does tell you that something different is happening here.
Yes.
And the assembly needs to have that prompting. They're just not coming in for another week of, oh, great, now they're just in purple.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
whole.
And I look at, I see people's musical choices, and it's like nothing happened. It's like it's the same old.
Yep.
So
Seen that.
that's why I try to do that. But anyway,
Oh, good. We'll talk about that in the next segment. No, we won't.
talk about that in the next segment. Yeah.
Stay away from that. We'll be nice. We'll take the high road. The second reading is 1 Peter 3. And how many times does this happen? Your second reading referencing your first reading.
Yeah. I mean, that just rarely happens. I think that might be the only time.
Yeah. Never happens.
Yeah.
Like, very happy that we're talking. He wanted to reference Noah and the covenant, and it's like, yeah, good. That's glad somebody picked that reading because it works. We very rarely hear from 1 Peter,
No.
so it's kind of nice to have that all nice and tightly together. And then, of course, we're still in Mark 1.
Yeah.
We have not left Mark 1 in how many weeks?
Everything happens in the first chapter of Mark.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need the rest of it. It's in Mark 1. And this is so short. The Spirit drove Jesus out into the desert. He was there for 40 days.
With the beasts and the angels. That's
Yeah.
it.
That was it.
It's the no frills temptation story.
Yeah. And then he came out and said, repent.
Yeah.
That's it. Game over.
Yeah.
All done. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I really miss hearing the temptation story. I really do because it's something that we all grapple with.
Yeah.
I think that's why we like to hear it. Because it's like, if Jesus could overcome this, then I not, But this one was just like, and you're done.
And you're done. That's right. He was tempted and he didn't fail. Bye.
Right. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Just like Saturday Night Live. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Good night. So you very rarely hear Satan either. I mean, you don't hear him talk. You don't do anything.
No.
He was there. He tempted him.
By Satan.
That was it. At least he named him. At least he wasn't tempted by something else.
Yeah.
He named him straight out. I love Mark.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Mark, the other Gospels would not be possible.
Well, there you go. It's the no frills account. It's,
Yep, it is.
Like you say, just the facts. Here we go.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts.
He went into the desert. He was tempted. He came out.
Right. Well, that just says the angels attended him, correct?
Yeah, well, the angels were there along with the wild beasts.
Yeah.
Heaven and earth were both there. So.
Yeah, there you go. Done, over. So, in speaking of done, over, you have our pastor's homily.
Yes, I do have our pastor's homily, and
So-
I found it to be an interesting take on the first Sunday of Lent.
In what way?
Well, usually on the first Sunday of Lent, you are exhorted to change your life, give up something, take up something, do something for the season of Lent to, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that his Ash Wednesday homily?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
And you are, in some way, usually exhorted to keep the season of Lent by doing something extra, doing something more. Well, the tack that he took was he hit the second reading hard this week.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yes, which is unusual. So he begins with part of it was because he's very invested in our RCIA program. He believes in the process. He doesn't want to call it a program. He calls it a process.
Thank you, Jesus, that he calls it a process.
Yeah.
Jeez, thank you so much, because it's everybody I know says it's a program.
He believes in the process, and he really tries to evangelize the parish. So therefore, we had a rite of sending at every Mass today. And while it was done because of the availability of the catechumens, he also said it gave more people a chance to see one of the rites of the RCIA process.
Well, it did, because as you and I both know, you're going to do these at what is your more highly attended liturgy.
Yeah.
Usually a morning Mass. But to have it on Saturday and to have it at the real early, sunrise Mass of the week.
In the case of this week,
Nice.
Our biggest attended Mass was the 4 Saturday.
Really? Again, because
everybody was scared to death of the weather people building up of this big storm that was going to be coming in, and it turned out it was a little less than a big storm. But
yeah, well, it rained, and that was nice, and and then it snowed again, and it was also not nice. So
he began this way. He said, baptism and Lent, the two go hand in hand. And as we begin the season of Lent, we focus both on the preparation of adults seeking baptism in our parish, and we have 2, and he went on to describe our 2 catechumens, both young men, and we have 1 candidate for full reception. But the season of Lent also gives us an opportunity to reflect on our own baptism and what it means to be baptized and what it means to live out that baptism in our lives. And it says, he went on to say, it means to respond to Jesus' command to repent and believe in the gospel. St. Peter, in our second reading,
lost your place.
No, I'm looking. He has a typo here.
Forget the typo. Thank you for calling that out.
St. Peter, in our second reading, sort of recounts the story of Noah that we heard in the first reading, which prefigures our baptism.
Right.
That saves us now. And we all know that baptism is the way we are saved. We are baptized into the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And yet too often we forget this, and that we feel like we have to earn it. And then he went on to tell the story of a lady who died and went to heaven.
And I'd heard that joke a few times before.
Yeah.
I knew that.
While she was, well, maybe everybody who was listening hasn't heard it.
Well, go ahead and tell it. I'll get the rim shot ready. Go ahead.
Maybe they have. Anyway, she dies and goes to heaven, and St. Peter is not readily at the gate. And she looks through the bars, and she sees everybody in there at this marvelous banquet with the lobster and all kinds of wonderful foods and choicest wines and blah, 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 the whole bit. And she sees all her relatives that have gone before her, and she can hardly wait to get in there. So St. Peter comes, and she says, wow, I can't wait to get in there. What do I need to do to get in? And he says, you have to spell a word. And she says, what word? And he says, love. And she says, Love. And he says, go right on in. So she does. So a little while down the road, St. Peter has another errand to run, and he asks this lady if she will just mind the pearly gates while he's gone.
Which I find hysterical.
Yeah,
Here, mind the pearly gates.
mind the pearly gates while I'm gone. You know the drill. You know what they need to do, you know. So she's there, and lo and behold, her husband arrives at the pearly gates. And she goes, "Oh, it's so nice to see you. What have you been doing with yourself? How have things been going?" Well, he begins this long tirade about how a couple of months after she died, he married this cute nurse that was her nurse while she was sick.
Yeah, I thought that was like a kicker.
Yes, and they played the lottery and they won $50 million, and they tore down the old house that she had lived in with him and built a big mansion, and now they're jet setting around the world. And he was in Cancun jet skiing, and he fell off his jet ski and hit his head, and he said, "Here I am." So the wife says, "Oh, nice." He says, "What do I have to do to get in?" And she says, "You have to spell a word." And he said, "What word?" And she said, "Czechoslovakia."
There you go. Although he said at the first two masses, he said Woonasquatucket,
Yes.
which is a river that runs through North Providence, by the way.
The thing is, if you listen to it, you can spell Woonasquatucket.
Yeah,
Because
Czechoslovakia.
It's spelled just like it sounds. And
I would've said
Czechoslovakia is not.
I would have said trichtodectophobia.
Yeah? Yeah.
Or consubstantiation.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one.
Yeah.
We'll go with either one of those.
But yeah, anyway, so he told that, and he ended up by saying that we don't need to spell even the easy word love.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to spell any word, but we need to live out this love in our daily lives. We need to repent and believe in the gospel, and he said Lent is the time that we pray for others, for our world, and for those who are in need, and to support those who are preparing for baptism. And he kind of gave a feed into what they were going to do afterwards. And today, in a special way, we pray for Devin, Paul, and Jessica as they now seek out our prayers and support as they prepare to go to the cathedral for the rite of election, an important step in their way to baptism and full reception.
And that was it was a nice way to segue right into that.
Yes.
So it was very well done. Other than the joke, I thought, because I've heard the joke before, not from him.
I've heard it before, but everybody's not online.
Right, exactly.
So,
But I thought him dwelling on the second reading for a change was, was a nice change. Very rarely do you get, unless it's Paul.
Yeah.
Very rarely will they dwell on the second reading.
Even when it is Paul, it's.
A lot of guys do like to preach on Paul.
Well.
On 1 Peter 3, that's not on everybody's hit list.
It's the tie-in to the baptism.
Right, exactly.
It's a tie-in to the baptism. So that worked really well. Well,
since we both were at the same liturgy,
same homily.
Yes, we heard the same thing. What I did and what we were very, very happy for is that the Concord pastor, the Father Austin Fleming from Concord, Mass, did get his homily up online before we started recording. So what I'd like to do for a change is to actually play a homily, because he does make this audio, he makes the audio and the written transcript available on his blog, concordpastor.blogspot.com. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by playing it here for you guys. I'm just going to tell you, I don't know why you're not listening to him in the first place.
Yeah.
So, but this is his homily from Sunday, first Sunday of Lent, and this is his take on the readings and just the whole season of Lent in general.
So a rainbow for Noah, his family. Who doesn't love a rainbow? Who wouldn't love a rainbow today? Even if no one has ever found a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, we still love rainbows. A few years ago, my younger cousin Michael died of cancer. And as his body was being removed from his home, his daughter Alexis looked up at the sky and saw a rainbow. She took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook. And on seeing it, just about everybody in my family said the same thing. That's Michael's rainbow. Now, there might have been a rainbow the day before, and no one saw it. Perhaps there was a rainbow the day after. Maybe nobody saw it either. But to eyes of faith, searching the heavens in prayer, that rainbow, that day, was a sign of God's hovering presence at an hour when our questions so far outnumbered any answers we had. Now, seeing that photo online, Michael's youngest niece came to a theological conclusion, declaring, "So that's how people get to heaven. They walk on a rainbow." It's actually not bad theology. In the first scripture today, after the floodwaters have subsided and Noah and his family and all the animals are safe on dry land again, God makes this covenant with Noah and names the rainbow as the sign of his agreement, his promise that never again will such a flood devastate the whole world. A rainbow does appear as a bridge from here to there. And that's what God promises. That no matter how great the flood, no matter how deep the waters, no matter how sweeping the devastation, we will not be lost in it all. We will be saved. There will be a bridge. There will be a way through and a way over any and all the troubles that we face in our lives. There will be a bridge to help us cross, to pass through, to pass over, even to pass over through death to life. Today, about 3.5 millennia after Genesis was written, our scientific knowledge moves us past the primitive story of Noah and the ark and animals and the flood, but not beyond the truth it was intended to convey. And the truth of the story in Genesis is this, that God promises to provide for us what we are unable to provide for ourselves. That when our lives are flooded with trouble and turmoil, the Lord will offer himself as an ark of safe passage, as the rainbow bridge we can cross with confidence, even from death to life. If with that last statement you think I've led you down just some pious path, then let me bring you back to where I began all of this. Rainbows. Who doesn't love a rainbow? Is there not a wisdom in the scriptures choosing a rainbow as the sign of God's saving love for us? Is there not something about a rainbow that makes us look again and think twice about its relationship to our day, our problems, our troubles, our hopes? When we see a rainbow, is it not a bridge to something beyond our experience, to something of hope? Rainbows come and rainbows go. We don't see all of them, often because we're too busy to look out or to look up. But when we see them, something within us is touched, even changed. And not just with rainbows. In a powerful storm, in an awesome sunrise, a stunning sunset, in the white silence of new fallen snow. in the peaceful rocking of waves at the shore, in the breathtaking view from a mountaintop. In so many ways, the world around us touches our souls and invites us to wonder again and again at the relationship we share with the world and its maker. Lent is a time to look for rainbows, to consider again how Jesus is our ark. Jesus is the safe passage promised us through life's troubles. Jesus is the bridge that spans from this day's problems to a peace that would be far beyond our grasp, but for the planks of the cross, which we cling to in the floodwaters for dear life. Lent is a time to look for rainbows of the Lord's promise in our own hearts, where the light of Christ is refracted beautifully through the tears of our pain. Lent is a time to look to the promise, the rainbow of the Lord's covenant, bridging from our day-to-day struggles to a peace that only God can give. The covenant of God's love shines in rainbows, yes, but the beauty, the depth, the truth of its promise, sealed in the sacrifice of the cross, is never more beautifully revealed than in the bread and cup of this table. The Eucharist is the sign of the new covenant, bridging the human and the divine in the body and blood of Christ. For here in this sacrament, the saving love of God is at hand. We are made one in communion with Him whose love for us knows no bounds and has no end. As a sign of His covenant, the promise of His love, God sets His rainbow in the heavens. Rainbows. Who doesn't love a rainbow?
Yeah, he has a way with words, all right.
Yeah,
And even his delivery has a nice,
that's really nice.
yeah. I'm glad we could play this for folks because he puts this up every single week on his website, or on his blog,
Blog.
conqueredpastor.blogspot.com. You can read it, you can hear it, and again, he's another one like our pastor this morning who did not even touch the gospel.
Yeah.
But because it was so short, and they get a couple of other years to be able to preach on it. So it was nice this was a very different, I like the bridge. The rainbow is a bridge.
Yeah.
From here to there. And I'm glad no leprechauns showed up on that rainbow. I'm waiting for the pot of gold, the leprechauns, and, well, it is the Boston Archdiocese,
I know.
They're big on that. Now, kidding. Jen, watch it. Rewind. No, they'll get the sheep out of there. But again, here's a different take on it. Our pastor talked more about the waters of baptism,
Yes.
and he talked more about covenant, and how Jesus is the ark of the covenant. I was waiting for the rest of it, but it was like, Jesus is just the ark,
Well, it's that, just using that word, the ark of the covenant,
Right,
ark that carried Noah,
right,
ark of the rainbow.
yep,
It's such a multivalent word.
yes.
It's very, very good. Very good.
And at the end of every one of his homilies, he takes it right to the table
Yeah.
of the Eucharist, immediately connects it to what we're about to do next at the liturgy. So, and again, he's a liturgist. I mean, when I was first coming up and reading and studying, his books were the ones I was reading.
I still use yours as a share.
Yeah.
Whenever I have to train lectors or music ministers, I always give them or read to them or whatever the portions that are applicable.
Yeah, and I use he has one preparing the liturgy, he has one on weddings.
Mhm.
I mean, I've used all of them throughout my ministerial career.
But I particularly love yours as a share. It's
Yeah.
so poetic.
It is. He has a way with words.
Oh, it's so true too. Everything
has
he hits, you know, it's
He has a way with words, and if you check in with him on Wednesday mornings, he has this lovely Texting with God series. You got to see that one to believe it. So I take, please, concordpastor.blogspot.com. You can go over there and you can sign up to get his daily, whatever he puts up on his blog. You get it in your email rather than having to go there every day. I've been subscribed to him for a couple of years now.
Yeah, me too.
And I especially like the Monday morning ones,
And you can get him on Facebook too, if you're on Facebook.
Find him on Facebook.
Yeah.
I like the Monday morning offering. That's one of my every Monday morning I have to pray that because it's so good. It gets the week going really well. All right, so we may never do that again, but we did.
So those were 2 homilies.
Yep, you got 2. You got 2 from us,
It takes 2, baby.
Okay, we won't burn that too bad. But let's go on to the next. Let's go on to our next segment then. I try to shed some more light on the situation. Yes, the right stuff. The right stuff is our rituals and liturgy segment, and Linda was alluding a little bit to some of what she does to make Lent stand out in her parish. The difference between, I can already tell the difference between Lent and Advent is Advent uses incense at St. Thomas's, and Lent does not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would use Lent. I would use the incense in Lent.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, just because I see it as the prayers rising type of ashes thingy.
I take one step at a time.
Hey, look, I have no problem with him doing it in Advent.
I got him to use it in Advent, and it's a little bit of a struggle every year because it's a hassle. It's a bit of a hassle to get that incense going, and then he's got to listen to somebody with asthma say that they can't stand it. So instead of processing the bowl in with the entrance procession,
right,
he just leaves the bowl in the sanctuary and adds the incense as he arrives in the sanctuary.
Right.
That way, people with asthma can sit in the back, and they're not bothered by the incense.
Yeah. When I was working for one pastor in particular in Lent, that was the big thing. He would take the thurible throughout the church in procession.
Yes.
And you knew it was Lent because the smokehouse came alive.
And the first year we did that bowl thing, we brought it in the entrance procession.
Yeah.
But in order, he got some complaints.
Yeah.
And so instead of bringing it through the crowd, we left it in the sanctuary. But it's lovely.
And I have sympathy for people with breathing problems. I do.
Yeah.
But what makes me laugh the most, and I've said it a couple of times, is when all you have to do is use a thurible.
That's right. Just bring it out.
Or a bowl.
You're doing whether it's smoking or not.
Not smoking at all, and people start.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, "Come on, it's not even lit yet."
Not even lit. Yeah. So,
and maybe it's just my time in the smokehouse that I spent that made me okay with it, but I don't know.
And I don't have I just don't have a problem with it. I mean, unless it's hanging right under my nose,
unless it becomes the cloud of unknowing and you're trying to sing through it, now it becomes an issue.
But, over there in front of the altar, I had no problem with it. And I'm the one who's trying to sing, so.
Right. But what you were saying earlier was that you do, as a lot of people do, a gathering that is specific for the season.
Yes.
And it's repeated. And
It's a whole rite that was put together by Tony Alonso and Gabe Huck.
Yes.
And it makes use of the traditional chant. Da-da-da-dee-da-dum.
Yep.
And there's an entrance litany to
Hmm.
that chant, and then it feeds right into the Kyrie eleison.
There are others. I know that
There's lots of them, but that's
yeah,
the
Marty
one I-
Haugen did one on Shepherd Me, O God.
Yes. The
There's
reason I decided to use this one is because it uses the Gregorian. And
right.
I just thought I would bring that dimension in.
Yeah. See,
Also.
this is where chant becomes very valuable to us.
Yeah.
Part of the heritage.
And I mean, it's not one of those long melismatic things. It's
No.
just da-da-da-dee-da-dum.
And people
And that
learn
sticks
it
in
well.
people's head. Yeah.
and it's
They
tone,
did it really well.
and it's tone chimes. It's not.
Yeah.
You do a lot of a cappella as well,
I do.
and I like that.
I try to cut down on the instrumentation. And as it stands right now, when you're not here, I'm the only instrumentation.
I'll be back for Palm Sunday, I promise.
So, you use the tone chimes for pitch.
Yep.
Um,
But it's helpful for the choir too, because
Yeah.
this gives them a chance to actually stand out
Yeah.
vocally
yeah,
and
it
lean
does.
on each other rather than lean back on notes.
Yeah.
So I think you do them a good service because of it.
And I try to get them to be as tight as possible. I keep telling them a cappella. There's nothing to hide behind.
Now,
So
I thought they were spot on. I would
they
say.
did great this morning. I was very proud of them. They
I was
did
gonna say
great.
90% of the time they were spot on.
But we did we do that whole liturgy of the word at least at 10:30 mass. The whole liturgy of the word is a cappella.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Psalm is a cappella. The gospel acclamation is a cappella, and
That
that
is
right
great.
away that says to our people, "Whoa, this is something different."
Right, exactly. I know that I've used, especially with Psalms for Lent, I have used, oh gosh, I have to admit one of my favorite ones is Michael Joncas, Be Merciful.
The other, you be
Merciful.
merciful, O Lord. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's because the difference is if there's RCIA, I would tend to want to use the Create in Me
Yes.
because of that, but if there isn't, then I go towards the Be Merciful, O Lord. Just because you can use the same psalm, but the focus is on repentance rather than,
Yes.
baptismal. So, but when I used to get a chance, it was, okay, we're going to do that one. And of course, I call it the Castanet Psalm because it sounds extremely Spanish and very much like Carmen. But I love it. It's one of my favorites.
I do. It's one of my favorites too. I really enjoy that setting. I also really the reason I do
If you
the
want
setting
to, go ahead.
the reason I do the setting I am doing currently is again because it can be a cappella. It's the same psalm and it's also set by Michael Joncas.
Yeah, well, you could do a Michael Joncas trifecta
Well,
because
I do during the
you normally, but
during the liturgical seasons, the high seasons, I use a lot of his stuff.
right. And you can use Be Merciful for 51,
Yes.
Be With Me, Lord,
Yes,
for 91, and is out of the debt with the Lord. There is
with
mercy.
the Lord. Yes.
30.
As a matter of fact, for
there you
evening
go.
prayer next week, we are using his Psalm 130. With the Lord. Yeah.
Another one of my favorites.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Let's avoid, however, turning this into a Michael Joncas love fest.
Yeah. Well, I just I happen to wind up during Advent and Lent. I use a lot of his stuff, particularly.
And it works.
Yeah.
And it's singable, and it works, and it's a lot of it's proven the test. It's
Oh
been
yeah.
the test of time.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so that's how I set that's how I try to set the season apart. Aside from the fact also that we have a Lenten supplement in the pews.
And I think that's another good idea.
Yeah.
To have a supplement for those pieces that may not be available in whatever worship aid, whatever worship
Right.
messalot, hymnal that you're using. You know, if you find something else that's serviceable for seasons, I love worship aids. They work.
I do too. I really like to have an Advent, particularly Advent and Lent supplement.
You know, and this is when I'll scream again for why don't we have a national hymnal where we can have the best of all of these things?
Yeah, but who picks the best?
Yeah, I know, but at least
There's the rub.
yeah. But if you buy, and I know we're gonna get in trouble for this, so here we go. I'm going.
Voice stolen. You lead my faith, so here I go. I'm going.
Okay. But if you buy just a GIA hymnal, if you are just with OCP, or if you're getting into WLP's new stuff, or even if you have their normal seasonal stuff, you're not getting everything.
No.
You know what I mean? And yes, even a national hymnal, depending on who's choosing what, will, but at least it would cut down on the repetition, number one. Okay, or the exclusion of things. Because you have enough of a national repertoire right now that you can go. I mean, I'm hearing it on I'm hearing it on just regular pop culture stuff. I mean, Eagles Wings, everybody knows that piece.
And everybody does it, yes. But how many pieces like that are there?
There are quite a few. I think there are.
I think that if there were a national hymnal, depending on who did the choosing, I would probably still use a worship aid.
And I'm not saying you wouldn't. Okay? I'm not saying you wouldn't. But I think what is going on is it's still this division of camps.
Yeah.
Because and I'll use the Cranberry Collaborative as an example. Oh, please don't kill me if I'm so sorry, Father John. But two of our parishes use OCP.
Uh-huh.
The other one uses WLP.
Okay.
And the music is almost a 90 degree from they're 90 degrees from each other. Well, what are they? 180s?
180?
I was bad in geometry. But so if the whole collaborative needs to get together, there has to be some serious thinking of what do we all know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing when I'm doing, I have to have a sit down with my pastor, musician, and myself for first Eucharist and confirmation. And I'm sitting there going, what the heck are we all going to know?
Yeah.
Because my concern isn't let's just use the best out of the parish repertoire. My concern, because two of these three rituals, my two first communions are on Saturdays. Okay? And my confirmation is a Saturday vigil for Sunday Mass.
Okay.
My concern is the people coming to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much now, the confirmation, we may be leaning more on the parish repertoire because there'll probably be more parishioners there. But when I look at the two first communions, I say to myself, this is going to be families and people who don't belong here. How are we going to make them welcome? What do we know in common with what they might know?
Well,
now, I know, we're probably dealing with a lot of people who don't
happens, I think, with all first communions. I mean, you may get families, nuclear families from the parish.
Right.
But then you get grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle from, all over the place.
Right.
So who knows what?
Right. So we really need to choose things that are more...
Not that anybody's interested in singing your first communion anyway. They just want to see little darling in the
And they want to take the pictures, and they want to do the whole thing.
Hey, did I say that? Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
It's a miracle.
Yes, you did. But that's okay, because it's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
You know, it's exactly what I was thinking. But I still want to be responsible, and I'm you know, I'm probably the DRE every musician would not want to have. Maybe.
No. I think you're the
Maybe.
DRE that every musician would like to have because
Because I have an idea.
you have an idea of what needs to go into the planning of a liturgy.
Right.
And
Right. And
I'll
again,
stop right there.
yeah, please. Because if we don't, it's going to go.
I'm stopping right there. I need a drink.
Yeah. Good for you. Okay, we'll just
Okay.
put it right there. So it's I don't know. I still think that a national hymnal would help us in one way. And I just, you know, it would help us to consolidate, and I think there's enough in common right now that there's enough to go around. I really do, because I think after a while, all of
What
this.
scares me is who does the choosing. That's
Right.
what scares
I
me.
agree. I agree, but the thing is that at some point there needs to be an eclectic grouping of music for us, because
Yeah.
if not, it's always going to be, you know, them or them
Yeah.
or them.
OCP parish, a GIA parish, a WLP parish.
Yeah, and it needs to be a Catholic parish.
Yeah, well.
Okay? And it's not, we have, at some point, I just believe that, and I really seriously believe this, the plethora will choke us
Yeah.
at some point. The plethora in music will choke us.
The good music minister needs to weed through the plethora.
Right, exactly.
That's the job of a good music minister.
I agree. But you also know that sometimes
You don't
it
get
doesn't
that.
happen that
Yeah,
way.
I know.
So, okay. I think we better
Okay.
jump off that topic quick.
Move on. Moving right along.
Okay. And let's go to our last segment.
Comes big fun. We're gonna have it now.
And in our big fun segment, which could be anything we feel like it, we want to do a little talking about why no one else is going to be here next week but me. So I'm going to let Linda do that while I turn on a few lights, or I'm going to go fading
Yeah, I
into
was going to say, you're beginning to fade.
like the picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. But I'll let Linda start with it so I can turn on a couple of lights.
Okay.
But it's our annual Winter Sing. Da-da-da. So go ahead, explain to the folks what's going to be happening next week here.
Okay. We did a little number on this last year. The National Association of Pastoral Musicians has chapters all around the country, and our chapter here in Providence, our biggest event is what we call Winter Sing. And Winter Sing is a wonderful afternoon evening type thing. We begin with evening prayer, and after evening prayer, we all adjourn to the parish center or basement or wherever, where we share a wonderful catered meal, and then after the meal, we go back up to the church, and a packet of music is distributed, and we sing through that. And it's this year we have a chock-full packet of music. The companies, all three, actually not only the three, but several other publishing companies, we have 4 or 5 represented, have been incredibly generous to us. We have thousands of dollars of music that you guys get. Not only do you get a meal, but you get a ton of music for the nominal fee that we charge.
Very
So-
cheap, very cheap.
Very cheap, yes. You'd pay that for just a meal. So it's a wonderful thing. This year it's taking place at St. Jude's Parish in Lincoln. For any of you local people in Providence, in Rhode Island, I should say. Any of you local people, it's taking place. But the cutoff date is Tuesday.
Okay, it's tomorrow. It's always it's tomorrow then.
Yes.
Okay.
So you need to get in touch with the chapter.
If let's put it this way, if you send something along to mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com,
We'll get it to the right.
we'll send it to the right person.
Yeah, I'm on the board, so
Right.
you know
The
if you,
three of you are on the board, and I am not. So that
yes,
works.
send something to Monday Morning Catholic, and we'll get it. But it's a wonderful evening. It has grown from about 50, and we did a potluck, and now we're up to 250, or at least
That's really great.
230. Yeah, it's our biggest event of the year, and
we're
so
gonna have a bigger one this year, though.
oh well, yeah, that's true too, and that'll be coming up in October. We're having the chapter is sponsoring.
Don't tell them. Make them wait. Make
All
them
right.
wait. That's
You can
why
wait.
Yes.
But it'll be, with any luck at all, it'll be even bigger than Winter Sing.
Yes. and I'm already working my calendar around it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, you have no idea. That was a prime.
I have to.
That was a prime week for me for religious education, and I'm like,
geez.
no, because I still don't have anybody to. I have to be at everything, so
Okay.
I'm like, no, I can't. I've got to. That day's got to stay safe. So, but
Okay.
we are looking. We'll let you know about it. But
Oh, we will.
and when they get back on the third Sunday of Lent, there will be a rehash of Winter Sing.
Yes.
So they will tell you I am unavailable to get there this year, but I am still recording the podcast. Now here's how you can help me. I don't want to say anybody want to come in and sit in the chairs here with me, but what you can do is this. Please suggest to me who you would like to have. If you get within the next day or two, so this comes out on Monday, so I'll give you till Wednesday, the 25th of February, to let me know who you would like to have me have on the podcast next week. Okay, and if I can get them, I will. Please give me at least 2 or 3 suggestions.
We would like you to have Pope Francis on the podcast.
I could never get him. But I might be able to get maybe a bishop.
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe I could get a bishop. Maybe I could get Allison back, because Allison's usually sat in the seat when you guys are gone. Or maybe I can, if there's anybody else you'd like me to try to get, then let me know. If not, then I either have to come up with it on my own, or get me. And you really don't.
You can always play Father Austin's homily again.
I might have to. I might have to, because I won't have a choice.
Yeah.
But that's the best we can do on that one. I do want to hear everything they're going to have at Winter Sing. And last year, I remember us huddled in a corner trying to.
In a closet. We were in some kind of a closet.
In a closet recording a podcast, which I think was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to happen this year. But I want a full report when
You'll
you
get
get
one.
back. Oh, I know I will. And guess what? We went over an hour.
Oh, hey. We ought to know, Joanne, we never have any trouble talking. Let's face it.
Man, we just don't. We just don't. So again, if you want to give us some feedback, let us know who you'd like to have on the podcast next week. If I can swing getting them, please send it along. MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com, Facebook.com/MondayMorningCatholic. You can put it up there. You can use our voice feedback line, 774-955-0659, or leave it at mondaymorningcatholic.net in the comment box. Any which way you can do it, that would be appreciative. So what do you think, Linda?
I think that's it, man.
I'm with you. I think that's hopefully you will all be working on your Lenten sacrifices. Or whatever you're taking up for Lent, rather
Whatever
than
you're doing for Lent.
remember, fasting, prayer, almsgiving. It's what we all should be doing. So for Linda Reed and myself, Joanne Mercier, I almost want to say stay classy, Catholics, but that's just not me. But let's stay in prayer the next couple of weeks, and let's see if we can get ourselves to Easter with a new life. So for the two of us, we'll see you next week, and ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye. And that